We all know the story, right? A doomed planet, a desperate scientist, and a baby rocketing into the unknown, destined for greatness. For decades, the story of Krypton has defined Superman and Supergirl. And at the heart of their powers is a simple, scientific fact. Their bodies drink in the light of Earth's yellow sun. It's an idea as iconic as the S-shield itself. Kryptonians are basically living solar batteries, supercharged by stellar radiation. But what if I told you that core idea is thousands of years older than Krypton? What if the blueprint for Supergirl's powers, her flight, her strength, her heat vision doesn't come from a 1950s comic book writer, but mirrors the mythology of an ancient Egyptian god? What if the very essence of what makes her a hero was first written in hieroglyphs on temple walls, telling the story of a deity who commanded the power of the sun? Today we're diving into the hidden connection between Kara Zor-El, the Last Daughter of Krypton, and Ra, the all-powerful Egyptian god of the sun. We'll explore how the journey of a solar deity across the heavens seems to prefigure not just the powers, but the very purpose of Supergirl herself. This isn't just about two figures who draw power from the sun. The parallels run much deeper, much more foundational, almost as if they were woven from the same archetypal fabric of what it means to be a celestial protector. Long before there were superheroes, there were gods. And in the ancient world, few were as important as the sun god. Civilizations across the globe, from the Incas to the Japanese, saw the sun as a symbol of life, power, and divinity. It was the ultimate source of energy, warmth, and order. And in ancient Egypt, the sun wasn't just a symbol, it was a god, and his name was Ra. Ra was the king of the gods, the creator of everything. He was the living embodiment of the sun, and his daily journey was the most important event in the entire cosmic order. The Egyptians believed that each morning, Ra was reborn in the east and would climb into his divine solar boat, the Manjet. All day, he'd sail across the sky, bringing light and life to the world. And this wasn't just some passive commute. Ra was the active force, keeping the universe going. His presence held back the darkness and sustained all of creation. But his journey didn't stop at sunset. When Ra reached the western horizon, he'd descend into the underworld, a dangerous and chaotic realm. Here he'd switch to his night boat, the Mesectet, and start a terrifying 12-hour journey through the darkness. And this trip was no guarantee. The underworld was home to his mortal enemy, a monstrous serpent named Apep, the embodiment of chaos itself. Apep's only goal was to swallow Ra and his solar bark, stop the sun from rising, and plunge the universe into eternal darkness. Every single night, Ra, with a little help from other gods like Seth, had to fight off this chaos serpent. They would battle through the 12 hours of night, with Ra finally winning just before dawn. In his victory, he would emerge once again in the east, reborn, making sure that life, light, and order would continue for another day. This story is so much more than just a myth. It's a foundational story about the eternal struggle between order and chaos, light and darkness. Ra isn't just a god who gets power from the sun. He is the sun's journey, a celestial protector whose daily battle literally keeps the forces of destruction at bay. It's this core concept of being powered by the sun, who travels the heavens to protect the world from chaos, that lays the mythological groundwork for our favorite Kryptonian hero. Let's fast forward a few thousand years, from the banks of the Nile to the pages of DC Comics. When Superman first showed up in 1938, the reason for his powers was pretty simple. He came from a planet with much higher gravity. But as the character evolved and his powers grew, a better explanation was needed. While the yellow sun idea had been floating around, it was a story involving his cousin Supergirl that really helped cement the lore. In Action Comics number 262, the explanation is laid out clearly for Kara. Their powers come from the radiation of a yellow sun, something Krypton's red sun, Ro, didn't provide. This one idea transformed Kryptonians from just strong aliens into something far more mythic, living solar batteries. Their cells were now described as having this incredible ability to absorb and metabolize solar radiation, turning it into massive amounts of energy. This energy is what fuels their flight, their invulnerability, their super strength, and of course their heat vision. Without a yellow sun, they're basically human. Under its rays, they become godlike. This concept became one of the most elegant and lasting pieces of superhero lore. It gave a clear source for their amazing abilities, and also a clear weakness. This idea of a hero being directly and biologically dependent on the sun was revolutionary in comics. It created a powerful visual link between the hero and the star that gave them their strength. When Superman or Supergirl are weakened, what do? They fly towards the sun to recharge, their bodies soaking in its life-giving energy. It's a modern sci-fi spin on an ancient form of worship drawing power, straight from the celestial body that has been seen as a source of strength and life for all of human history. In some tellings, Supergirl is even more efficient at this process, because she spent her formative years on Krypton under a harsher environment. Cells are sometimes described as hyper-efficient at soaking up solar radiation, letting her power up even faster than her famous cousin. She is, in a poetic sense, a daughter of the sun. The science might be fictional, but the symbolism is ancient. The writers of DC Comics, whether they knew it or not, were tapping into the same archetypal power that fueled the myths of Ra, Helios, and Apollo. They created a modern myth where science took the place of magic, but the central idea was the same: a champion empowered by the sun. So, what happens when we put the myth of Ra right next to the story of Supergirl? The connections become almost impossible to ignore. This isn't to say the writers were flipping through Egyptian textbooks, but rather that Supergirl is a fantastic modern remythologizing of the solar deity archetype. First and most obviously is the sun as the direct source of power. Ra's entire existence is being the sun god. His power is the sun's power. In the same way, Supergirl's abilities aren't just turned on by the sun, they are a direct conversion of its energy. Her body is a vessel for solar power, metabolizing sunlight into strength and flight. When she lets loose her heat vision, she is literally weaponizing stored sunlight. This is a direct echo of the Eye of Ra, a symbol of the sun's destructive power that Ra could unleash on his enemies. Both characters are defined by their unique, intimate relationship with their star, but the connection goes deeper when we look at their celestial journeys. Ra's daily trip across the sky in his solar boat was his sacred duty, bringing light and maintaining order. Supergirl's power of flight is her own version of this journey. She soars through the sky, a modern protector traveling the heavens, and her journey started much further away. Just as Ra emerged from the primordial waters of creation, Kara emerges from the void of space, survivor of a dead world, arriving on Earth to find a new purpose. Her flight isn't just a way to get around. It's a visual statement of her power and her otherworldly origin, mirroring the journey of the sun god. The deepest parallel, though, is in their shared purpose: the battle against chaos. Every night, Ra fought the serpent Apep to keep the universe from falling into darkness. This was an eternal, nightly struggle. Ra was the champion of Mat, the Egyptian concept of truth, balance, order, and justice. Apep was the embodiment of chaos, the force that wanted to unmake creation. Now think about Supergirl. What's her job on Earth? She's a defender against forces that want to harm it. Her villains, whether they're alien invaders or power-hungry madmen, are basically modern-day versions of Apep. They are agents of chaos trying to impose their will, spread destruction, and tear down the fragile order of society. Every major battle Supergirl fights is a reenactment of Ra's nightly struggle. She is a champion of justice and order, a luminous figure pushing back against the encroaching darkness. Her fight against a world-ending threat is the modern version of Ra's fight to make sure the sun will rise again. The stakes are identical, saving the world from the forces of chaos. So we have a solar-powered being who travels the heavens and defends the world from the forces of chaos. The parallels aren't just on the surface, they're foundational. The ancient Egyptians looked to the sky and saw a god whose daily struggle guaranteed their existence. Today, we look to comic books and screens and see a hero who does the same. The creation of Supergirl's powers wasn't just a stroke of sci-fi genius. It feels like a modern retelling of one of humanity's oldest and most important stories, the journey of the sun god. It takes the ancient, powerful symbol of the sun and dresses it in a cape and boots. It shows that the stories we tell about our heroes are truly timeless, echoing the myths our ancestors told to make sense of the world. The names may change, The context may shift from mythology to science fiction, but the core archetypes, the champions of light, the protectors of order, the enemies of chaos, they never die. And that's the true power of superheroes. They are our modern mythology. They connect us to the same epic struggles that have captivated people for centuries. What other ancient myths do you see hiding in your favorite heroes? Let me know in the comments below. And the next time you see the Last Daughter of Krypton fly across the sky, remember the ancient god who first sailed his sunboat across the heavens in the eternal battle to keep the darkness at bay?